So for my prompt, I had, a professor says the Second Amendment is an outdated relic from the past. It is time to take away people's guns. There is no need for people to defend themselves against the government, and the police defend people against criminals. So discuss the purpose of the Bill of Rights. Is your professor correct? So obviously in the past 2 decades, there has been a lot of issues around guns and gun violence and shootings, and a lot of people have suggested that the Second Amendment should be repealed. So, a little bit of background about the Second Amendment is that it was passed by the Anti-Federalists shortly after the Constitution because at the time, American citizens who didn't own guns were being taken advantage of by the British and by the people, and it was just not a good situation. And so they passed the Second Amendment to allow people to have rights to own guns. So basically now, years later, it's very controversial, but I would say that there is still a need for guns and that we should not appeal the Second Amendment because that would be inherently not constitutional and would be taking away rights that were set in place by our founding fathers. So my first point is that basically the Second Amendment allows citizens to be protected, like I said earlier, but by themselves, like against the government and other citizens. So obviously now I would say that the main purpose is for protection against other citizens, but something that sets Americans apart and gives us that mindset of that premise of personal freedoms is that we are allowed to own guns, which is not common in many other Western countries. And it would literally be unconstitutional to just take away a right that was set in place. I don't think that you can justify that without, just saying that. Because it's if you take away one amendment, which other ones are you okay with taking? I think it's kind of a slippery slope. So it would definitely be denying our rights to take away the Second Amendment. And then my second point is that basically the people who are committing acts of gun violence are not going to be stopped by a law banning guns. If they're already okay with committing murder and violence, they're not going to care if guns are illegal. And even if we do confiscate all the guns, the people who own guns that are planning to do evil things with them are not going to turn them over. Having a law banning guns is just not going to stop. Most of these people who are committing acts of gun violence have already stolen the guns and they're not people who care about obeying the law. So basically disarming the law-abiding citizens will just allow more violence to prosper. So basically, in conclusion, guns keep Americans safe. It's a constitutional right. You can't just take away a right because that just leads to all sorts of other issues that will not be able to be solved easily. So.